as you can see here is my too small graph. You're going to take the full physical from the JITs to the first root cause of net variance and leading on to the 2017 full physical, the JITs of the number one cause of net variance, a comparative graph. If you could just take a moment to absorb that into your retinas. Okay, next slide. Why? We gotta eliminate the JITs. I know everyone here is a big old fan of a JIT. Like they just give so much data. So much data. Oh, comforting data, like a warm cup of cocoa made by grandma. But we gotta eliminate the JIT. Next slide. What is a JIT? Why are you here at 9 in the morning? Yep, we're gonna honor system shop these bad boys. Advance. Yeah, the customer and the supplier have an interconnectivity, much like Narnia and the spare room in the Chronicles of Narnia books. Like one exists because the other exists, but I only need one of them. I need a wardrobe to keep my coats. I don't need a magical land full of fawns and queens and trolls. No, honor system. I only saw coats in that closet. There is no JIT. Advance. Yeah. The employee is related. The employee is the end consumer. In case you didn't know, there is no reciprocity between manufacturing and the consumer except the supplier, which is the wardrobe. In my analogy, if you read a book in the 7th grade, advanced. What is a job? I know you think, I've been doing a job since I was 14, a thankless job with no chance of advancement. I've been doing that job my whole life. I'm going to be doing that job till I die. Advance. Compare to purchasing with a PO or invoice. Yeah, I have a shopping list before I go to the store. That's my PO. My invoice is what I actually fucking spent because this government doesn't regulate the pricing, and I wanted a box of egg whites only, and it cost $17 when eggs themselves would have cost $11. Therefore, will I be pulled up on my PO at the next quarterly meeting because I could have divided my own eggs? Probably. Justify budgets. That's a whole nother JIT. Advance. Oh, this son of a bitch. Gary helped me with this graph. I don't like it because it's one of those if, then, these are 4 things, and you end up and you're like, I'm a Sagittarius now. I don't like it. Advance. Fuck you, Gary. Another one of these sons of bitches. I don't like an accountability chart that doesn't have the end user on it. And we might as well blame the customer for all of our JITs. My JIT is too legit to quit. I'm not gonna blame my JIT on anyone. Next slide. Fucking sit down, Gary. All right. 2017 transaction. JIT production way up there, almost 100 thou. Job 20 thou. Are we doing a job? Or are we doing a JIT? We're sitting on our JITs doing jack shit. Next slide. 4-to-1 ratio of JIT to not JIT. That is a bad JIT ratio. That is not good, in case you didn't know. And if anyone here is a moron, unlike Gary, great. Next slide. Fuck that ratio. Look at these. Look at these bad boys. This is like a fucking thermal graph when you walk into a room you're not supposed to be in. That is the burn versus the machine shop versus the hydraulic versus other. There is nothing other than the burn, the machine shop, and the hydraulic, as far as I'm fucking concerned, between 2016 and 2018. Don't tell me the machine shop should have been up there above the 5,000 range. It should have been below 10,000, but above 5,000. That's where it should have been. Jets at your site. Okay. You guys have pushed me far enough. Before I have another aneurysm, I would just like to say, Gary did not pay for the donuts in the reception hall, okay? When we take our break, know that those are my donuts paid with my pocket money, and I did not submit a purchase order for those donuts. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Too legit to JIT.
Just as I thought. That was outstanding. Thank you, Lindsay. Up next, we have Mathieu. So I'll hop right out here on stage. Perfect. And take it away.
Quantum mechanics you can Instagram. You think quantum mechanics is really difficult, but actually there's a way into it. So listen to my lecture carefully. Next, please. A good quote here. Those who are not shocked when they first come across quantum theory cannot possibly have understood it. Cheers, my friend. Next, please. So today's plan. Let's see. Next, please. What you see on this picture is actually a picture. You see the subject, this monkey furry person, but is your perception of it really what it is? Is this glass of whiskey half full or half empty? And is this a real glass of whiskey? Obviously it isn't. This is the right one, and this isn't a real monkey. And this is how quantum physics works. Next, please. Instagram. We come to the Instagram because this picture that isn't real would have actually had a lot of success on Instagram, but not in the quantum physics world. Next one, please. Aha. So if you look at those two diagrams, if you look only at one of them, like give it a try, give it a try. You look at the left side. What do you see on the left side? You see a yin and yang sign. Have a look at the right side now. You see some more harmony. But if you look at the middle, what do you see? Confusion. Quantum physics is confusion if you look in the middle. But if you look at every specific part, you can actually make sense out of it. And this will make sense right now in the next slide. Next slide, please. Instagram. Obviously, because if you put this picture on Instagram, it works as well. Why? If we refer to the picture of the monkey before, it's because you thought it was a monkey. It was actually not a monkey. And in this case, you thought it was a sign of yin and yang, but it wasn't. Next, please. Is there anything that is not weird about quantum mechanics? I mean, it's got to be good for something, right? That's my joke. I put it in the, that's really amazing. So yeah, obviously most of it is weird, and which is why it has success on Instagram sometimes as well. And another question I hear a lot is like, is the soul inside of the body? No, actually, the body is inside of the soul. And that's where I wanted to lead you actually tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the next slide, please. Classical physics hit the wall. Because when you put classical physics in front of quantum physics problems, it doesn't work. Like take this wavelength in nanometers, for example, like you have tones of red, tones of yellow, tones of green, but nobody cares. So quantum physics, like, no, it doesn't go on Instagram like quantum physics does. Have a look at the second diagram, like a code bar, nobody cares, no good for Instagram. The flame, no good for Instagram. This graphic, nobody understands, not good for Instagram. Then this ions being projected on neutron and protons spinning up, nobody cares. No good for Instagram. And the ZE, maybe you have these circles, but still wouldn't make his way on Instagram. Next slide, please. Yes. So this is the inside. Now, if you think about Feng Shui, which is pretty similar to quantum physics actually, because the proofs are pretty similar. Like you can clearly see on the top picture, what do you see? You see objects, you see a table, but what you actually see is geometry in energy fleeing toward the upper right corner of the picture. Obviously, use your eyes, and the light will directly attract where you look. It is where you look, and that's what you want for Instagram. Now, have a look at the second one. It's a little more subtle here. You don't understand it at first glance, but then if you have a look at the right part, then you see these colors that you saw before that wasn't good for Instagram, but through the left part, You have this source of light, and then you understand. You think you're clever. You got nothing, but it was good for Instagram, and that's how social media works. And the last one then is the most difficult one, because you can't see the light source clearly, but then you start thinking about it. And this is good about Instagram, even though you haven't got a solution. And if you can't answer these questions, have one more glass of whiskey. That will help you, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening.
All right. Thank you so much there, Mathieu. It is now time for intermission. And that means we get to drink and answer questions from you guys on Twitch. So put your questions up there in Twitch chat, and everybody come on out here on stage, and we will answer your questions. I mean, I won't. I'm not going to do that sort of thing. But everyone else. Let's see.
So the questions begin with, what is the recipe for Lindsay's grandma's hot chocolate? Lindsay's
Grandma's
Recipes.
R.
Top.
Euler.
files.
So
Make.
The.
Right.
Decision.
because
Otherwise.
You'll.
Be.
Deprived.
from
Your.
Life.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The next question is, what's Gary's Instagram handle? Gary's
Instagram.
handle.
Is.
At.
Gary loves donuts.
2009.
Yeah, this is yeah, anyway. Do we have another question, Well?
Let's see. How should I use quantum mechanics to decorate my apartment?
Excellent question.
Very good question.
You
Must.
Use
Quantum.
Mechanics.
to
Improve.
your
Apartment.
By.
channeling
Feng shui.
energy
Into.
Plants.
and
Nanobots.
Pretty good. Hey, one final question. Why is Ataturk so damn sexy?
that's a good question. Ataturk.
The.
real
Because.
Of.
His
Silver.
eyes
yeah.
All right. Great. If we don't have any more questions, let's move on to the second half.
Yeah, right.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Second half o'clock. Thanks for staying out here, David. For those of you watching, get right back in. You're going to miss the show. David, you're up. I'm going to disappear. And you're going to take it away.
All right. So today, this comes from Ken Scrambler. He's a wonderful, wonderful man who just had, a tiny accident on the racetrack. But, his monads were not fast enough to make it up here. But I'll tell you all about those monads and how they're made out of the lambda symbol. Next slide, because I love some lambda. So you see this is my good friend here. His name is Diogenes Sinope, and he lived in a barrel, and he really loves his monads. And so he's picking up his stick and his bowl to go and collect his monads. He's looking for some lambda, and he's really like the progenitor of all this. All right, let's advance this one and see what happens to Diogenes as he goes on, because he is very much an obnoxious hobo, but he knows how to get his monads advanced. At times, you notice that you have been making mistakes, is that a bowl is not the way in which you capture your monads. But I do believe that his stick is going to come in handy in advance, and let's find out what happens to Diogenes. Is he going to get his monads? He's going to throw his bowl in a bucket. He's very confused. Advance so we can find out how he makes his way. In these prehistoric times, he found, a double lambda. That's like a triple monad. But he also learned to code on top of a camel, powered by a jewel, a red crimson jewel. These other things don't really mean much. He probably threw a coffee cup of coffee into his bucket with a bowl, because who drinks coffee? He's after the monads. Vance! He confuses himself at times, but he knows he's brilliant. He's on the way to the monads. Advance! I want to see more of this. Because if you get your monads, then why else would you anything else? Advance, because we want to go through these structural fields, because they are pretty much arrays on your path to monads. Screw these letters, throw them in your bucket with your coffee and your bowl, because it's useless. Go on. Advance for me, please. I want to, because yes, you do, in course, go into recursion loops on your way to get some monads. You throw more letters in there, you get your bool, you explore those fields, because why else? Anything else that monads? Go! Advance for me. Because you make a list of all the things you want in life. It's very simple. Monads, advance. Yes. Lambda A leads into B, the best you can goddamn be. Break up your big eyes and look at that and throw all those letters in there. All you need is the B, real, for your monads. Advance. Next slide. Lambda calculus, Alonzo Church. He's just pathetic compared to Diogenes. He's just such a meh. Look at him, his glasses. No match for him. Advance. Next slide. Because, yeah, he took all the junk stuff. Only the double lambda. That's the only thing he could figure out. Diogenes figured this out thousands of years ago. In advance. Next slide. Yeah. That's what Alonzo thought. You can just make data structure out of functions, but he still has never found any monads like good old Diogenes. Advance. Next slide. Those Booleans. Those Booleans, they come from beyond the world. They're trying to capture our monads. I call the worst one Bool. I'll tell you what happens to him. Next slide. Yeah, the church Booleans. Trying to take us over with their fancy religion, but I'll show you what the result is. Next slide. Now, Alonzo is just thinking about his whole structures again, still never finding his way to Diogenes, and instead just concerning himself with defining things. And this is why Alonzo never ever made it to his monads. I just feel all this disdain. That's all. Thank you.
David, that was outstanding. I was saying Boolearns the whole time. I was saying Boolearns. All right, Tina, you're up. Take it on home. Oh,
We're on our way.
okay.
Slowly.
There we are. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes.
Have at it.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Tina, and today we will be talking about family portraits. I will be co-presenting with my assistant photographer, Sheba. That's just the way it's gonna roll. So we're gonna talk about some key things to remember when shooting. Next slide, please, Phil. So, getting a family together for a group portrait might be pretty daunting, and there's a lot of reasons why. You know, parents might be divorced, mom might be hooking up with dad's cousin, kids are, not in the picture, or there's too many. There's just a lot of reasons why getting a family together for a group portrait might be terrible. But the good news is that it doesn't have to be. With a little bit of planning, it can be fun. Even if the parents hate each other, even if the kids hate each other, it doesn't have to be horrible. So here are some 5 key things to remember to make your session a success. Next slide, please, Bill. Right. So first, you want to make sure that you're getting light into your subject's eye. If we could demonstrate this with my assistant photographer, here the light is in her face and you can see her beautiful eyes. Here the light is not in her face. And as a result, she is very unhappy. Are you unhappy? That's a yes. So make sure that you're starting off with good light. Avoid overcast days. And, on the days when it's not overcast, you can try shooting an hour before dusk. That's a popular time. And make sure that the family is angled so that their eyeballs are in the light. You want to be able to see their eyes and all of the suppressed emotions in there. Next slide, please, Jill. So heads are the key. Shooting other parts of the body can be a little bit tricky. There's informed consent. I know there's a really big scene for that here in Berlin, but you don't want to just start off just by jumping in there. So you want to make sure that you're getting mostly pictures of their heads. So not boring totem poles. You don't want everyone's head in one line like this. That's no fun. Or in one boring line like this. That's no fun. You want to stagger heights and make use of triangles. Allow me to demonstrate. Next slide, please, Gil. So you also want to allow kids to be kids. And if your kid is, for example, chewing on your wire, you want to not have them do that. So forcing kids to behave usually creates forced smiles. You want to do the thing you do with baby portraits where you're squeaking the little toy and the babies are stranger is squeaking a toy at me. I guess I'll stop crying. So you want to do things like that. Depending on the child's age, this might change. So if it's a baby, maybe a squeaky toy. If it's a cat, maybe a catnip toy. A teenager, maybe a Hustler magazine. You do what you have to do to make their personalities come alive. Next slide, please, Till. Great. Expression is everything. Each expression tells a story. If it's a happy face or a sad face or my parents are in the middle of a bad divorce and I'm pretty sure it's my fault face. So don't worry so much about the poses. Don't worry so much about that. Make sure that you're just getting natural shots of people being themselves, of people having fun, just, looking like they're happy to be together, which can be a challenge, but you want to do your very best. Next slide, please, Mel. And make sure that you have fun. Get silly. Snap a few wacky shots. Get them to do a group squish. Allow me to recall my colleague and demonstrate the group squish. So the group squish would be something like this. See how much more joyful that is when you do it that way? You can also allow them to do goofy faces like this. Or even jump together. There are so many great moments that can come out of your family portrait session. It doesn't have to be horrible. Right, colleague? Right. And that's all for us today. Thank you.
That was picture
Oh my God.
perfect. All right. I gotta get back out here. All right, Tina, thank you so much, and also Shiba, well done. So now is the time when I say get voting, y'all. It's that time. Vote.zbshit.com. That is super important because the winners get to co-present the final slide deck, which is going to be all sorts of fun, and you want to stick around and see that, which is going to be great. So, get out there and vote. And I can't vote because I don't have time to, because I'm talking to you guys. All right. Bit of a somber topic. This week has been something of a doozy in the United States with respect to race and that sort of stuff. And I just want to take a moment to address that. We here at Zoom Bullshit think this is a really important thing, and we want to stand with our friends of color all around the globe. And so tonight, instead of our normal donations going to comedy, we want you to donate, depending on your continent, to either the initiative Togo Action Plus, which is here in Germany, and also to Southern Poverty Law Center if you are donating in dollars. So please think about that. We understand that it's a whole lot of privilege that lets us do this, and not everyone is so privileged. And so we want to make sure that that you, if you enjoy this show, will send some love in whatever form you're able to people of color all over the world. So thank you for that. Moving back into the comedy show, which you came here to see after that somber note, please give us more slides. I just like them. I don't want to tell you what I'm going to do with them, but that family portrait slide deck, email them to slides@zoombullshit.com. I put it up there in blue, so you'll do it. If you missed part of the show, no problemo. We record these things. They end up on YouTube a couple of days after they air live. That way people aren't competing with us on YouTube. And you can watch them there, which is great. You can like and subscribe so that if there is a season 2, you get to watch it. If you just love us, you could follow us on Facebook @ZoomBullshit. Or if you really think you'll miss us in the off season, like we'll miss you, shoot us an email. We respond. We're people. So now we've got the question of who are the winners? Okay. We need some more votes. You got to go vote, including participants. You get to vote now too. Just don't vote for yourself. Watching you. Vote.zbshit.com. Ooh, I can vote too. We'll see how easy that is. I'm just gonna do a thing. All right. Okay. Well, we now have some votes. We have some winners. Thank you so much for doing your votey vote things. It's been great fun. Just want to call our winners back up here on stage. Splitting the first place, we have Tina and Lindsay. Come right back up on stage, and we'll get you presenting that final deck together. All right. You guys, take it away. It's 10 slides, 7 minutes. And after that, figure out who made that smell. Go for it.
The ideology and identity of anti-community. Anonymous. By us, the highly accredited scientists. Again, we have to blame Professor Hadi Hotson's intern, David, for putting his name on this as if he wrote this thesis. I don't know what the problem is. A lot of ego with that guy.
Fairly typical for a man to put his name on work that two
Well, let's not get
women
into
have done.
Let's not get into identity politics, Professor. We're talking about anonymity here.
Then I guess we'll just talk about ideology and identity.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next slide, please.
So today we're going to start off by talking about Anonymous. Who are they? We don't know. And to demonstrate how much we don't know, please have this graphic of a headless man.
Is it Ichabod Crane? We'll never know.
It could be,
Everyone is anonymous,
but
and
some
anyone
things,
can join.
yeah, but some things we do know about them. We do know that they're an internet group, and that when they first were formed, nobody knew about them because they were brand new.
And they didn't have the same marketing as Scientology.
It's true. And get this, as the name implies, everyone is anonymous.
All the time. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It's our ancient religion. Next slide, please. It just leads to more questions rather than answers, honestly. What are their ideologies and how do they differentiate themselves from the rest of humanity? And in fact, do they? Because they are anonymous.
And second question, to what extent are they their own culture, and to what extent are they a context for culture?
Yeah, 4chan tried to classify itself as a religion and it didn't work.
Scientology tries to classify itself as a religion, and it does work for some people.
But it's a pyramid scheme. And it's expensive. Next
Kind
slide.
of.
Don't remind me, Professor.
Memes. I put this slide in here to show you that I'm hip.
Yeah, that was the hottest meme you made of 2007.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pain is temporary, glory is eternal. Chicks dig scars, and glory lives forever.
It took me a really long time to make that. I just want everyone to appreciate the effort that went into this.
She did that from scratch in MS Paint, just so you know. I know it looks like a photo, but it's not.
No, it's hand drawn. Next slide, please. So some ideology. So they are big fans of Never Gonna Give You Up song. They
Yeah.
love Rickrolling, just institutions that they don't agree with. For example, Scientologists.
Yeah, but have you ever rickrolled someone IRL? There's no lick to clink on. So you have to bring a radio and a giant placard.
Mhm.
And you have to get someone to verbally agree to be rickrolled by the radio.
That's one of Anonymous's prime tactics.
That's analog rickrolling. Next slide. Lack of leadership. That's the problem with anarchy, is no strong leadership.
And if you even try to become a leader or create any sort of personality beyond a headless man, you are like to be ostracized and rejected.
And even though there's not an official leader, people perceive that there's a man in charge because they always perceive that it's a man in charge.
Always perceive that it's a man in charge.
Even the headless man is still clearly a man. Next slide.
So one of their other tactics, first off, I would just like to refer you to these memes.
That is
I
the
also
Reverend Al Sharpton and Minecraft, for those of you who are not cool.
Unlike me, I am cool. I'm a cool professor.
Yeah, sometimes if people call you out for your institutional racism, you can pretend that you were trolling and it was opposite day, then you don't have any accountability. And when someone asks who did that,
Yeah.
you're like, it's anonymous.
Exactly.
And they don't know if you're saying it's the organization anonymous or you're saying no one has signed this bullshit.
Yeah. I'm not racist. I made an Al Sharpton meme.
Yeah, some of my best friends are memes. Next slide. Memes are used on Oprah. No one hates Oprah. Therefore,
No one.
everyone loves memes. QED.
Exactly. And on the left, you can see the headless man graphic again. On the right, yet another amazing meme that I made. I think it is from Dragon Balls.
Yes, I like Dragon Balls. And my balls are dragon. Haha, memed. Next,
Okay, now,
next slide.
yes, and this one will not have any Title IX violations.
No,
So-
because it's a conclusion. And if we actively reject leaders in hierarchy, no one has to go to jail.
We can also use memes to show group membership in Anonymous or in my class.
And if we troll others for enjoyment and use their culture as a way to attack them, they will confuse us, friend or enemy, meme lord or edge lord.
Gender, as we have seen, is incredibly important, seeing as the institution is represented by a headless man, because a headless man is still better than a woman.
I've received death threats as a woman and as a man. Death threats you get as a man are much better.
Next slide, please.
Haha.
Anonymous fun page.
If you don't have creativity to troll people on the internet, please make copies of these memes and use them to appear edgy and or astute.
But I take personal credit for all of these.
Therefore, they are not anonymous.
It's like anonymous inception. Get it?
The spinny thing is still spinning.
Keep watching.
Is this a dream?
Maybe.
Am I on a plane?
Are you not on a plane?
We are all on the same plane. We are anonymous. Hashtag Guy Fawkes.
And that concludes our presentation.
Give us an A. Thank you so much, Gloria Vickers, for that fantastic presentation. We are almost done for the evening. First, I want to thank the people who make this happen. All of our wonderful performers, Summer, Lindsay, Matthew, David, and Tina. Thank you so much for participating in this. This was awesome. I want to thank specifically Summer, who runs all of the tech and also performed tonight, and is also the greatest co-producer of all time. She's wonderful. She makes this happen, and she's great. There you go. She's even got a whole bullet point to herself. And I also want to thank you guys, our viewers, for tuning in. We love doing this. We wouldn't be able to do it without people actually paying attention to it. So thank you so much for just giving us a goofy opportunity to be silly. You can still donate more slides. I love to ask for them. Sure, we don't know if we'll need them, but I like them. Email them to slides@zoombullshit.com. If you have any questions, we're not sticking around for that shit. I gotta get more scotch. But we will miss you. This has been tremendous fun producing the show this far, and we really, really, really appreciate the opportunity to be silly in front of an audience, even if we can't see you. So thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time. And now that awkward moment where people sign off of Zoom. That's how it always is.